Welcome, everyone. This is Manny's Irish Pub Sports Betting Show. It's been a while since we've had a show, Tony Mejia, but we did one back on January 25th, I think was the last one. And we are back by popular demand. We have a lot of professional sports bettors and handicappers that have reached out to me and others. And we're going to have a pretty large cast. Now, Tony Mejia, if you haven't watched this show before, he is my regular co-host, along with the great Tony Finn, who should be a comedian, and Rob Veno. And Rob Veno is on the Wagertalk NBA show, which is probably concluding, and he'll be on with us shortly. We're going to run for about 30 minutes, maybe 40 with this. But it's been a while, Tony. How you been? How are things at Wagertalk? And got anything hot going tonight?
Yeah, things are going well. I mean, we're in the midst of baseball season. I had a pretty good run on 4% going, 7-2 my last 9 total, and I think 12-2 on 4% money lines. So yeah, that's going well. NBA, my 5% haven't been as great as they were last season, which is really disappointing. It seems like I might jinx with misses on free throws and layups whenever I have an over total. So we'll have to see. And then I was on Dallas to make it 2-1 in Game 3 most recently, and they obviously failed and turned down 3-0. I stuck with them though, because you can't hold grudges in our game, and did win on Game 4. So we'll see what I do in Game 5. I have a 5% play, so I won't be divulging who I like or what I like tonight, but we'll break down the game in the series, no problem. And baseball too, and we're looking forward to football season. Been doing some USFL shows with the boys, Drew Martin, Adam Trigger, and of course Rob Veno, who will join us later. And just plugging away, waiting until the big boy football comes, when college football as well. We'll try to pass the time of summer. It's a World Cup year. Kids got out of school yesterday, so I'll be busy with a full house there, and just plugging along. How's everything been going with you?
It's been going pretty well. The NBA's been scorching hot. It's running at 71% over the last 45 plays. I can't complain. I cannot complain. I had an under loser in the Warriors Game 4. Came back with Boston last night, and that was a late release, and I'll tell you why, because it is pretty interesting that this happened. My models will go off with green lights, right? And it'll send me a notification across the screen. And usually this is happening at like 5:30 in the morning. But the line was moving. It was 1.5. And when it hit 3, Boston favored by 3, I got a green light. And I'm wondering, like, it's so rare that line movement creates a premium play. So I looked at it, and then I saw the underlying trend. Number 1 seeds that are home dogs of 3 or more points have never won. Straight up or against the spread. They're now 0-8.
Yeah, I mean,
so if I'm not looking at my screen when that happened, or if I'd gone to play golf or something or walk the dog, I might not have ever seen it.
Yeah, that was Marcus Smart and Robert Williams getting cleared and Tyler Hero getting ruled out. So that created that that line movement. I actually got it at 3.5 plus with the Heat, because I thought Miami, if they were going to get back in the series, would win last night. And they had it. They made it ugly, and then they didn't hit shots, and Boston did. And that's all she wrote there, and it's likely all she wrote for the series, considering I believe the Celtics should take care of business. We'll see about the number. I would assume it's north of 7, even though Miami hasn't ruled out anybody. A bunch of guys questionable, including Tyler Hero, who I would assume, if he can go, will play tomorrow. And then obviously they've had Max Strus and Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry all have issues offensively. And yeah, looking at the number, it opened 9. There's still mostly 9s out there, some 8.5s. DraftKings bet online are both 8.5 at this point. We'll probably see some Celtics money, although that is steep, and a total of 201. So everybody's assuming more ugly basketball at TD Garden tomorrow.
Oh, it's good defense, Tony. It's good defense.
No, it's open missed looks. It's garbage. I mean, like Miami missed so many looks that guys like Kyle Lowry and Strus would love to have back. They're sitting there. Spoelstra's got to do, has his hands tied because he's got to play Duncan Robinson as much as possible, even though he's a defensive liability, just to get somebody out there to spread the floor. So it's a tough position for Miami to be in, considering they've been so solid regardless of who's been in the lineup for most of the season. And then now when it's, for all the marbles, they can't get it together in terms of getting a cohesive five out there. PJ Tucker's been tremendous defensively. He's been the guy that really has been locking up Tatum and doing his part. Even been more of a playmaker. He had more of a PRA than for a while, at least, rebounds and assists, than Bam Adebayo. I lost on that too. I loved the PRA of Bam because I figured they'd play through him. 11.5 was his PRA. He had 10 rebounds and 1 assist, and that 1 assist is unacceptable because you got to play through him. He had that little spurt in the third quarter late and into the early fourth, but by then the game was over. I blame Bam most of all. Jimmy Butler's hurt, but has to do better than 4 for 17. Kyle Lowry, same thing.
It's very true. It's only been one time in Butler's playoff career that he's failed to score in double digits back-to-back games. Almost did it again last night. So you gotta figure something is wrong with that one wheel.
Yeah, his knee. I mean, that Peyton Pritchard injury is the one that really triggered a thing where he reached his arm out and clutched his knee. So clearly he's not 100%. But again, if you're out there, no excuses. Like Tyler Hero, people want to get on him. He's trying to play the organization. Really doesn't want him out there because as good of an offensive catalyst as he is off the bench, Boston's hunting him on defense, and if he's not 100%, he's even less likely to get any stops there, and you let Boston get in a rhythm. So I have no problem with Hero sitting out. I do have a problem with Spo riding Kyle Lowry as long as he has been when he's got Gabe Vincent, who really was a solid player throughout this postseason. I think we might see the plug pulled on Lowry if he can't hit a shot early tomorrow, and they ride Vincent and Oladipo.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the prop bets that Ronald Kabang and I did with the NBA triple-double show. It was under 15.5 points and assists with Lowry, and that seems to – I hate betting unders with players. I guess I'm a compassionate guy. I'd rather be betting overs because you want to see players do well, right? Even if it costs you a win because the other team's players played better. But betting unders with players is kind of like – you feel like you're betting against America almost.
Yeah, I'll give out some free over-unders when we get more people on the show and talk a little Warriors and Mavericks tonight.
Yeah. That is Jeff Michaels trying to get into the show here. He's having some internet difficulties, but he lives in that Cleveland area, so I guess that's the luck of the draw with Cleveland, I guess. Even the internet is bad like the sports teams. But I couldn't resist. But he's on he's Ralph Michaels' son.
Sure.
And I'm sure
I met him at the meet and greet in Vegas. So yeah, I did talk to him, and I love Ralph, obviously. So yeah, good to see him on. And good to see him on a heater because I saw was 20-2 on big unit plays or whatever. I mean, that's fantastic. So nice to see him getting off to such a solid run.
Yeah, he's officially 20-3. He had Boston a couple nights ago when, actually it's probably like 2 nights ago. They scored 8 runs in the first 2 innings, and he was playing the first 5, and that was a blowout. And then he lost 2-1 on the Padres. Milwaukee won that game, and that's only his 3rd loss in 23. Top rated 5% major league bet. So that's pretty damn good.
Yep.
Especially considering he's only in his 20s. I mean, I'm only about 15 years older than him. I don't feel that much older than him. I'm 17-5 with my 5%ers in all sports. I mean, that's pretty close to what he's doing.
It's very solid, very solid. My 5% I've now dropped, and I think it's Ralph. I'm not sure. Somebody passed me. I was number 1 on 5% releases since I joined Wagertalk in 2020. And I was number 1 all of last year for that. And then 2022, I lost a couple in a row, checked, and somebody had passed me. I know Ralph's on a major heater with that, so I would assume it is him. So the Michaels clan doing their thing. Yeah, I mean, well, we still that's the key. I mean, we want to win every bet and wager we make and every pick we give out, but those 5% they get your stomach churning. So that those are the ones that they get you pacing and make you lose sleep at night. So certainly,
It's
you're
true
back.
because we want our people to win. That's the
Absolutely,
pressure. We were
absolutely.
talking about you, Jeff, with your 20-3 record while you were attempting to get in, and I apologize. I accidentally bashed Cleveland, or maybe it wasn't accidentally. I said the internet must be as bad as the sports teams out there.
Right. I guess I don't know if it's I'm ready to get a new computer, a new internet. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm having some issues. So I apologize in advance if it happens again. But hey, you guys were talking earlier. I'm ready for football season. Let's just say that. We'll see what happens up here in football season.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, the same kind of names in the top of the preseason charts in college football, and it's the Buffalo Bills now. They're the favorite with the Tampa Bay team, and they have some quarterback. I can't remember his name, but they're number 2. And I guess I should have worn my Bucks hat today.
Look, I mean, it's the rise of Ohio now. With if Cleveland gets Deshaun Watson plugged in, right, and then Joey football riding with Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh's going to take a step back, and maybe Baltimore too. Although we'll see what happens with Lamar Jackson in terms of his contract negotiations, and obviously he's blowing off the voluntary OTAs. He's going to be there, I guess, next month. But doesn't sound like things are harmonious in Baltimore right now. So certainly an advantage for the Bengals and Browns.
Yeah,
and we also have Jesse Schule in the house now.
Jesse.
Good to see you guys. I missed you guys.
What's going on, bud?
Yeah, well, we were talking about sports cities, and you're a Vancouver guy, which is one of the most beautiful places on the planet, especially if you like mountainous terrain in the distance and the Pacific Ocean and all that kind of good stuff. So it is beautiful stuff. But I guess you pretty much watch sports on TV as opposed to live events.
Well, it's a great place to watch a hockey game. One of those few places that burns the city down if they don't win the championship,
Yeah, well, you got to keep warm up there, right? During the hockey season, it gets pretty damn cold up there. I mean, I could see a reason to do that. I mean, you wouldn't burn down South Philadelphia after the Super Bowl, would you?
I don't know. Philadelphia gets pretty cold as well, doesn't it?
It does. It gets blasts from Canada, and we can go 0 degrees, sometimes a little bit negative. The coldest I ever was in a car was a while ago now. I guess it's because of global warming. But seriously, I think it was 1991. I was traveling to Penn State, of all places, to watch them and Notre Dame. Notre Dame was number 1 in the country. Penn State, I think, was between like 15 and 20 in that game. Kurt Warner was the running back, if you remember him. And you have to go over this ridge to get into Happy Valley. And it's a pretty high ridge. It's 7 Mountain Ridge is what it's called. And it was the first time and only time I've been in a vehicle where my temperature gauge went negative. And it was actually -6. And then, of course, when you get down the valley, it really warmed up to 1 degree. And during the game, the winds were 30 miles an hour. And this is before the one end of the stadium was closed up. Back then, it only seated 90,000. Now it's 111. And the wind was blowing right in on the student body. And it was so bad that most of the student body left that game. So Penn State won. That's all I can say. But that was about the coldest I think I've ever been at a sporting event.
You're not going.
Tony doesn't look like he likes cold weather very much.
No, I'm a native New Yorker, and as soon as my parents brought me down to Florida, I stayed and haven't left. So I went down even further south from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale for my 20s, and then I'm back in Orlando. So I'll go back to New York to visit. But the thing I like to say when people ask me about weather is, what's your pet peeve? My pet peeve is my nose running and my ear lobes being numb. Hate both of those things, so I'll pass on cold weather.
Is that a Dubs jersey you're sporting?
I am. This is an old school, like the one of those
Oh yeah.
30 on the thing and the Warriors logo on the side. So we're repping Steph Curry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I like the Warriors tonight. So I just am wearing the jersey because I found it lying around and they're playing tonight. So we shall see.
And it makes you look good there in that sports book too.
That's correct. That's
Everybody
correct.
wonders who you are. Like, is that Steph?
No, it's not Steph. I'm taller than Steph, probably. So, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely wider than Steph.
You must be a pretty big dude if you're taller than Steph, because what is he? He's
6'3.5". I think Steph is roughly 6'2.5", 6'3". So,
but Steph's
probably got him right
slim,
in.
and you don't appear to be slim, so that would make you a pretty big guy.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
I think what Jess is trying to say is that Steph Curry probably has a higher vertical jump.
Than me? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I tore my Achilles, so that's out the window. Although we played at the in Vegas when we went out there, that 3-point shooting contest we have. I mean, people can play at Wagertalk, that's for sure. Hopefully next time we'll run some 5-on-5 or something like that. Although I've got to get in a little better shape and trust my Achilles more to do that. But had some shooting contests. Jay Money is a fantastic shooter. Like, that kid was lights out. And Ronald Cabang was running around out there. He's got a lot of things. We had guys like Jason Baum and Chris Allen from our Wager Talk production were busting it too. So yeah, guys who can play. Ski can play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the next meet and greet, which I think is in August. I don't know if we're playing there or if we're going to wait another year until the March Madness one. I probably will be much better next March than I will be in August. So that's for sure.
Have to get Ralph out there. Let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, are you gonna get out there, Jeff?
As long as I can play against him.
If Ralph plays, yeah, I'll go.
Oh,
Right. As long as I'm not on his team, I'm in. I'm in. I am in.
no autopsy, no foul.
Right. Exactly. Payback for the old days.
Well, when I get out there, I've already been told. I guess it's still the story that Carmine Bianco, Nick Borman, and I are the I guess the Wager Talk golf team, and any three guys who want to take us on, we're staked by somebody wealthy. So you can put three guys together, and
I could buy that. I'm not a golfer, so I'll pass on that. You guys can tell me about it. I'll be drinking in hospitality or something.
I think basketball. I'll play with you guys, no doubt about it. But the best part of my game is gone. Yeah, Rob Veno would probably agree with that too. That the best part of my basketball game is gone. But I can play golf still pretty damn good. I wouldn't have won the PGA. Hey, speaking of PGA, how about Mito? Did you see that, man? Pereira.
But yeah,
I've been practicing in front of the mirror on how to roll my tongue to make that R sound. You do it perfect.
That's better than before. I saw the choke job, and I saw it cost people money, like on futures and stuff. Everybody was posting that they got in at some point, and then the collapse, was costly. I only had like a $25 FanDuel thing on the PGA Championship, and it did terribly because who did I have? Oh, I saw not to throw him under the bus, but I trust Nick Borman's opinions, and I saw on Wager Talk today he liked Scheffler. So I said, all right, well, he's got. Oh no, not Scheffler, Cantlay, and so I put him in my lineup, and he obviously sucked. So
I didn't know he had Cantlay, but on that ESPN show I do out of Syracuse, I said, long shot best bet, Bubba Watson. That was pretty good. I mean, that was a top 20 winner, and I don't know I can't remember if he finished top 10 or not, but he was like 88-1 to win, and he was kind of right there. Even on Sunday, he was only 4 shots back. But then I had Patrick in 3 of my 5 DraftKings. I don't know what's up with him. It seems like majors, he doesn't want to play majors. So what I'm going to do is I'll give out a free bet right now. The next major is the U.S. Open. I'm not going to pick Patrick Cantlay even with Steve Merrill's money. And you know what that means? He's going to win.
Can't hold grudges.
He's going to win. But I like Bubba. He played really, really well. And
Well, now I'm a Sebastian Munoz fan because I found out he's Colombian. So, my God.
There's so much talent out there. I mean, it's never been that deep as it is now. And anybody, the guys that are in that 40 to 80 to 1, any one of those guys could win. And that's the fun part of it. Mr. Veno, how are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. How have you been?
I've been doing great. It's been a long time. January 25th was the last show we did on Manny's
Dear
Pub.
Lord. That's a long time, John.
At least that's the one that I saw in the archived editions. But yeah. And you know everybody here. You know that youngster up there in the upper right?
The youngster in the upper right.
Well, my upper right.
Tell me.
Jeff Michaels. Ralph Michaels' son.
Ralph's
JM
boy.
Sports.
Oh, nice to be on with you.
Yeah, you too, guys. This is my first time being. As I've heard, it's been a little while, but regardless, it's my first time, so I'm glad to be joining along with everybody.
Yeah. Good to have
The poor
you.
guy made his debut on the Major League Baseball Full Count show on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday?
Monday was
Monday.
yeah. And then I was back on Tuesday.
And he did great, right? And all of a sudden he's back Tuesday, and I'm hosting both those shows. Can you imagine a start to your video career worse than that?
Eventful.
Yeah. I mean, if Tony Finn was hosting it, I guess that would be worse. But where is Finn?
I don't know. I just left him. I don't know where he went to.
Well, we were just kind of going around the horn, just kind of chatting, and the actor, I can't say his last name, from Goodfellas, he passed away today. I told Jeff before we went live, and this is the thanks he gives me for being such a good host for his debut. He says, "Oh my God, that movie! I wasn't even born till 6 years after that was released."
Oh wow.
Dates me a little bit.
I'm still connecting dots here. Jeff, you just got married.
I did.
Okay, all right.
I did.
So I knew Ralph's son just got married. Okay.
I've survived
trying
the
to put
first
things
week and
together
a
here.
half.
Oh, you have?
that
Okay,
reason. I
good
know
deal.
that reason.
Oh yes, Derby Day. So my dad sets up a Derby Day, and to convince my now wife, so he can sit over in the corner and check the Derby on his phone and not get blamed for it.
I heard rumor that he wanted to install a 70-inch screen TV behind the minister at the altar there, so that everybody could see the race while you two did your vows.
Right. He starts yelling at me
haven't
because we're
confirmed
about
it
to
yet.
go take family pictures. He's like, it's about to go. It's about to go. He's now. Not my call.
It's not like a 4-hour event. It's only 2 minutes, and then you can take your pictures. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask.
Oh no.
Your son's wedding.
Right. Priorities.
But Rob, get
Well-
this. He's 20-3, Jeff Michaels is, with 5 percenters. He was 19-2 when he started on the show Monday. So obviously I'm having a negative impact already because he's only 500 since he's known me.
I'm going to stop taking your dad's advice, Jeff. I'll listen to you.
Hey, maybe baseball. I don't know if I can say much about the other sports yet, but baseball, I don't know.
Real quick, to your point about your wedding day being on the Kentucky Derby, my youngest son just got married Saturday, which was Preakness Day, and it's Thursday now, and I still don't know who won the Preakness. So don't tell me. I'm trying to find a replay somewhere where I can watch it, but it's 4 days later. I have no clue who won that race.
Oh,
I had Marco on the show for the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and nobody saw the Kentucky Derby winner coming like that, even with our superfectas. And I get pretty nuts with those because Marco has turned me into a monster with those things. Because you're investing like 50 cents or $1 to make a lot, but then you layer it in that pyramid, and all of a sudden you look at your ticket and you're up to like $300. But if you nail one of those. But guess which horse I didn't have?
Right.
The winner.
I had him in the second and third rows, but I didn't have him in the top row. So as soon as he won, the tickets were scrapped. Didn't even have to look, along with about 100 million other tickets in the world.
John,
But somebody, what was the payout on that? It was ridiculous. It was like $2 won like 300 grand on the superfecta.
Oh wow.
There were some big numbers. I know that.
It was enormous because the third place horse, no, it wasn't the third place. It was the fourth place horse was also kind of a long shot. If I remember right, yeah, he was like 15-1. But anyway, there was a filly in the Preakness. I won't tell you if she won or not.
Okay. I'll find it somewhere along the line.
Anyway, you guys want to talk a little basketball?
Whatever you want, John.
I'll share this. I'll start out. In the basketball, I got to just find my notes here quick. This is for the under. And it'll just take me one more second here.
Oh, we just saw your angle of the day.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if they put it on or not, but yeah, that is pretty much what I'm going to talk about. So that's just, I'm just going to get that right here. So in the playoffs, in this matchup, this has been a tale of two different types of teams. One plays from the beyond the arc, and the other one has scored a lot of points in the paint. In fact, the Warriors have outscored them by 64 points in the paint in 4 games, which not too many teams have done. 15 teams have outscored their opponents by 55 or more points during the first 4 games of any round of the playoffs. However, in Game 5, the under is 12-3 for 75% winners. And guess what? If the team is playing at home, it's never lost. It's 6-0 to the under. So again, I think that is a pretty good bet there for the under here. My premium best bet is not on the total. So, and I'm not going to tell you which one that is. But Tony Mejia has a big play tonight too in the NBA. So you go to Wagertalk.com, you go to SportsMemo.com, and you can pick and choose what you want. And the good thing is that we don't cost very much. It's not like a place where you have to pay $100 just to get somebody throwing darts at a board, in my opinion. But that's my take on this game, and it kind of makes sense because the 3-point shooting, and I don't think Coach Kidd's remarks at the end of the game. I'd be interested to hear what Tony Mejia has to say about this. He said that, well, they asked him about Golden State playing zone. And he said, well, that's good news for us because that tells me they can't cover us man to man.
Right.
But at the same time, that zone actually caused Dallas to shoot pretty poorly at times during the game. So what do you think? You think you'll see that tonight?
We'll see zone both ways. We'll see zone both ways because it's an effective way to slow down the game some. But I think one difference that we saw out of Game 4 that was missing in Game 3 is guys like Dorian Finney-Smith would attack it with his strength, which is going to the hole. I mean, Golden State doesn't have a shot blocker. Kevon Looney is not that. Draymond Green is not that. Both solid post defenders, but they're not shot blockers. So there's no rim protection there. Golden State has been feasting inside because the same can be said about Dallas. I mean, you don't have a rim protector when you're playing either Dwight Powell, who's starting, or Maxi Kleber, who's playing most of the minutes as the small ball 5. So, yeah, we'll see zone, but then it just becomes a matter of knocking down shots. And there were opportunities there for Dallas in Game 3 that they just did not take advantage of. And you don't expect guys like Reggie Bullock and Maxi Kleber to shoot 0 for 15 from the field and 0 for 12 from 3. And, you mentioned that you had the Game 4 under, John. Well, that was blown up because Dallas actually hit shots in that first half. So, from that standpoint, it's a make or miss league, make or miss conference finals. I mean, we came into these conference finals expecting defensive matchups. We finally got one in Miami, Boston yesterday. Everybody was saying how ugly it was. But it was Miami missing looks and Boston missing looks, and Boston dictated pace. They topped 60 points in games 1 and 2 in South Florida, and the Heat fumbled away a golden opportunity because guys like Jaylen Brown fumbling the ball away. Jason Tatum was out of rhythm because PJ Tucker was doing a really nice job on defense. Marcus Smart wasn't hitting shots the way he did in game 2. And the opportunity was there for Miami to have a substantial lead in that third quarter, and instead was a nip and tuck game. They were only up by 5 at the half. That was erased very quickly in the third quarter. And then Jaylen Brown started hitting tough shots. And it's just make shots, man. That's all it is. If you can make shots, you can set your defense. If you're missing shots, other team comes down and gains confidence. So to answer your initial question, we'll definitely see a lot of zone. And normally in regular season, if you're going to tell me you're going to play 30-40% zone both ways, that's an underwaiting to happen. Postseason with two teams that have figured each other out in terms of how to be successful, not as lights out of a proposition.
And I'm glad they showed the angle of the day. I sent it at like 5 after 4, and I wasn't sure whether Will and those guys were going to see it. But the one thing I can't add to the slide is my in-game betting stuff has really done pretty darn well on top of the 71% run over the last 45 plays. The common sense thing here is if you like the under as this angle has, and I'm not saying you should, you might like the over and think I'm full of crap. So this is information for information purposes. I've taken a metric called implied volatility, which measures how much the underlying stock is going to change in the marketplace based on various conditions. And we've had a very volatile stock market of late. And for those that don't know it, I worked on Wall Street for 18 years, blah, blah, blah. Big deal, right? But some of those tools apply so well with sports betting, I can't even begin to tell you. And it really does well with NBA because what is it? That's the highest scoring professional sport we have. Soccer certainly isn't the highest scoring sport, but you still can do it. It's just a lot easier in the NBA. So using the implied volatility for this game, you're going to see runs of 10 points probably by both teams without the other team answering. And those are the times that you want to jump on these things. And Rob Veno and I, what game was that? It was Creighton and somebody 2 March Madnesses ago, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we actually did a little like on the show while the game was on. And it was like a 30-point range. And both I think both sides hit. It was like 135 and 158 or something ridiculous. That's only 25, but still. But if you like at 215.5, even if you like the over, it just very rarely does a game go bonkers 215, and that would be the lowest possible in-game total you could get for the whole game. So it begs you to only put like 50% pre-flop of your normal bet size. So if you're $100 better, put $50 down, 215.5, let's say on the under. And then if they get out to a fast start, that's where you want to look for levels of, actually it comes out to 219.5 and then 223.5. Those would be 25% increments to add to the 50% to get your full bet. So yeah, you wonder why you would want to do that. Why not just bet the game and then enjoy it? Well, think about it. If the game ends at 218 points, the 215.5 loses 50%, but those other 2 legs win. So you only lose the juice on the 50%. I'd rather lose just juice on the 50% than lose the whole bet. I don't know what Jesse Schule would think, but Jesse Schule's been against me the whole week, I feel. I say, the Phillies, he says, no way. I say over, he says, there's no chance in hell that's going over. Actually, it was Ronald Kabang. It's not me that you're going against all the time.
Well, everybody knows that when you bet Philly teams, it's a homer pick.
Well, I don't look like a homer now, do I? There was a Major League Baseball show we do for SportsMemo, and I'm hosting it. and I asked to have the game changed. Remember that, Jesse? I think you were on it. And I wanted to talk about Philly and the Dodgers, I think it was, because
Okay.
I actually recommended to play the Phillies on the series. Not because I live in the area or because Rob Veno lives in the area. It looked like a great betting opportunity. And then Chris changed it. You know, he's the head guy with the video and the marketing and the production. And then he sends a Slack message to us saying that we want to be careful on this, that we don't come across as being homers and supporting a team, essentially with our hearts instead of our minds. That afternoon, I went out and got a new Dodgers hat, and I got a whole bunch of other hats to wear, and that's what you're going to see from me now because I am not a homer.
Maybe in college football season with Penn State, maybe just a little bit sometimes.
Well, I can't help it that Penn State's good and they come up on my radar.
It certainly feels like you got Penn State every week to me.
Well, not every week.
Tony, you're not going to back me up here?
Is Jahan Dotson going to tear up the NFL?
That's a good question. He's with the the Redskins. He's with the
Commanders.
Commanders.
Okay. That's going to take a while to get used to.
You know how many
I'm
times
still
I've
getting
called
used
them
to
the
saying
Indians?
Guardians.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know how many times I've called. I live up here, and how many times I've called them the Indians. Still, it's just normal.
Yeah,
and it's.
Can we just call them the football team still?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can.
That actually sounds better. I still think my suggestion, which I did actually send, I did try to send it to Mr. Snyder. My recommendation was the Washington Iron Condors. The Iron Condors is a sophisticated option strategy. I don't know if it actually is an animal or a bird or whatever, or if it even exists. But doesn't that sound better? Iron Condors sounds like you better be careful. Like you're in the middle of the the African Serengeti and the wildebeest are starting to charge, and you got to get out of the way. Iron Condor. I mean, all right, I get it. They're near, Annapolis and all that stuff, so it makes sense. But why were we talking about them?
We were talking about
Dotson,
Dotson.
yeah.
We were talking about, to back up Jesse, your love for Penn State early last season. But I'll give you this. I mean, they were better than I thought they were. But I think the Penn State-Wisconsin game, I think that was one of the few that I was with you on. That went our way early in the season. That was one of those nip and tuck games that Wisconsin, I want to say, fumbled at the goal line like a couple of times or inside the red zone, and we were fortunate.
Well, there was that well-deserved Iowa win over Penn State, where Iowa really came out and laid it to them from start to finish, and Penn State wasn't even in the game.
Yeah, and you like the quarterback.
Very few teams go undefeated, Jesse. Even Ohio State doesn't go undefeated.
Yeah, I might have gotten a little bit fortunate in that Iowa game, actually. Maybe a little bit of luck came into play.
Probably not. That was a bad game. But when I see a dog, though, it's a good point because I probably did play them quite a few times. I know I had them as a 5% winner. At this point in time, I can't remember who they were playing. Indiana, maybe. But it doesn't really matter. Like it could be, let's say LSU in a couple of years puts together a good team that can take on Alabama. Alabama is still going to be a double-digit favorite to any team that is on the rise because it is what it is. And Alabama is Alabama, Ohio State's Ohio State, and Michigan still hasn't beat Ohio State, Jeff.
No, you're not gonna. I mean, I'm not. I can't argue.
Under Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, why don't we? What do you guys want to talk about, Jesse? You want to pick a game in baseball to talk about?
Sure.
Go ahead. I'll give you the floor so we can get some refreshment, and then after this, I guess we'll do around the horn best bets. That sound good?
That sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Which baseball game should I talk about? Well, how about the Blue Jays Angels? I saw that game open up with the Angels as a favorite, but it looks like money has been pouring in. Of course, Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch for the Angels, and the public just loves Ohtani. The media loves Ohtani, and he's got great numbers. I mean, he's pitching well, but I mentioned on the MLB show that the Angels are 3-4 in his 7 starts this season. He lost back-to-back games that he started. They're playing the Blue Jays. You got Hyun-Jin Ryu going for the Jays. He got off to a terrible start. He got rocked in his first 2 starts. He had some kind of an injury. He missed about a month. He's back now, and back-to-back quality starts. Tossed 6 scoreless innings in his last game. And Ryu, when he's on, I mean, he's as good as anybody. The Jays got the that power in the lineup, even though they haven't been flashing it as often lately. But the history sort of favors the road team here. The road team's won 7 of the last 10 head-to-head meetings. With the Angels being the big favorite here, I think the value is with the underdog and the Jays, whether it be the run line or just the plus money on the money line. So that is my take for MLB tonight.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I personally like St. Louis tonight. But I can talk about that later. Let's see what Jeff has for us here for a possible best bet. But don't give out any of your big plays because we want people to go to SportsMemo and get to know you a whole lot better because you're part of the family now. Literally part of the family.
Right. Ball down to the blood. You know, Jesse, I was looking at that game earlier too. The only thing I'll throw onto that too, it's been a while since Ruse played or started against the Angels, but he's got 4 starts against the Angels and his ERA is 0.98. His ERA is under 1 again in 4 starts against the Angels. But you know, I like my run line games, especially when you're playing on a dog, and I'm going Tampa tonight plus the run line. They're 17-4 against American League starting pitchers under 2.9. You know, they've played well. They got the lefty going. Nestor Cortez has pitched well, but I don't see it being a super high scoring game. You know, taking the 1.5 with Tampa, and I'm taking that 17-4 record against those starting pitchers with, you know, quality ERAs. Oh, and the Yankees. Sorry, and the Yankees are 1-11 on the run line after allowing 1 or less runs against a division rival. So they're coming off a good pitching output, and you know, can they repeat it? Questionable.
I like it. I really like it. And you know what I like the most about it? You're going with the home team run line, which is something that a lot of people frown upon, but I'm actually a big fan of it in a game that you expect to be low scoring, close, taking the runs with the home team. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I think where that run line thing gets people in trouble is when it's a big money line favorite, like the Yankees playing at Yankee Stadium and they're minus 220, and people make the mistake thinking that, well, the Yankees will blow this team out. They'll easily win by 2, and they don't. And to your point, they are terrible on the run line, especially when they are the plus money on the run line. Did I say that right? You take the Yankees tonight plus 1.5.
Minus
or
1.5.
Minus 1.5. It's
money.
minus 1.5. You're getting some significant plus money, probably around what, 150, yeah. And that's where the Yankees and the Dodgers, all the good teams are terrible.
Did I hear that right?
Your dad's favorite. What's that?
Did I hear it right? I thought he was taking Tampa plus the runs.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm just saying that those
New York's
favorites,
bad
the big favorite, like a money line favorite of 200 and above.
Yeah, they're plus. Caesars has them at plus 140 right now, minus the 1.5 for the Yankees.
So that's where the Yankees have been absolutely terrible. And Ralph Michaels, when I hear run line, honest to God, I know he really does not like. Possibly hates minus 1.5 home run lines with a big favorite.
Oh yeah. I can't do it either. I like my run lines, but I can't even do it on a favorite, let alone a home favorite. You're giving up the 1.5 and you're giving up the at bat.
Yep.
If it comes down to it in the 9th inning.
I think the only way you can bet the Yankees tonight is first 5, considering that bullpen is not what it's supposed to be with Chapman out and Loaiza guys out. Now, granted, he's been terrible most of the season, but that's some depth gone. And then they used guys last night to pick up that win, and the offense is missing Stanton and a couple of guys. So, yeah, I mean, you're basically banking on Nasty Nestor if you're a Yankees backer.
So far we have Jesse. Your best bet was again
the Blue Jays plus 1.5.
Yep. And now we're on the Tampa Bay Rays plus the run line against over the Yankees. And I like the Rays just flat out on the money line. To be honest with you, it's one of my premium plays. I'll throw one of the 3 out there. Let's move on to Tony Mejia and see what he's got for us tonight. It's probably a prop bet on number 30, I bet, since he's wearing the uniform.
It is. You want? I'll save my NBA stuff for best bets. We'll talk a little baseball. The Reds scored 20 runs today. I don't know if you saw that. That's more runs than they scored in an 11-game span when they were terrible from April 12th to April 23rd. So this goes to show you how wacky baseball is and how annoying it can be. Talking to Jeff, I think off air yesterday, I like the Dodgers. Laying the 1.5 on the road as my best bet, and they couldn't score against the Nats despite killing a Doan and Gray in back-to-back games. Just couldn't break through yesterday. The Padres, I barely won the first 5 because they were up 1-0 and ended up losing 2-1 to the Brewers despite getting a good run from Darvish. So, I mean, really, it's hitting with runners in scoring position and getting good pitching, hoping for the best with baseball. That makes that an impressive run you're on. Even more so. I'm on a 4% run that's been pretty good. Kind of blows your mind where you're basically betting on things that you hope will happen, and then when they do, then it pays off. I had a first 5 video with Dave Koken that's out there on the Wagertalk feed today, Wagertalk TV, the Wagertalk Twitter feed, and it is on the Rangers and A's, which is your last game of the night, and it's riding Martin Perez, who's got a 1.01 whip, a 1.64 ERA. He's won his last 3 decisions, hasn't allowed more than a single earned run in any of his last 6 starts. Comes off a complete game shutout against Houston, beating them 3-0, and hasn't allowed a home run all season. So against an Oakland offense that typically sputters, I would take the first 5, even though their pitcher Frankie Montas has had a good year. He left in the 2nd inning. Last time out, they say he's fine, but we'll see if that's disrupted his rhythm. Cole Calhoun, who homered last night, is 7 for 18 in his career with a couple homers against Montas. So, you got Corey Seager. I haven't seen a lineup yet. You assume Seager's in it. And the Rangers snapped the 3-game skid in Anaheim, so they should be having the field as they head into the horrible Coliseum. So I will take the Rangers first 5 as my best bet, and you can get a full breakdown on that on the Wagertalk Twitter feed.
And make sure you get the Wagertalk and get his 5%er tonight. It is a 5%er, right, in the NBA?
5%er in NBA, and with a couple of bonus props, one of which I will give out as my best bet here.
Okay. That was your best bet segment.
Oh, I thought we were just talking baseball. We're doing best bets now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will give out Jordan Poole over 16.5 points. He comes in off the bench and has been given the freedom to do his thing, and he's been more consistent in this series than he was in the last one. And I think that's just a matter of getting comfortable in his role, because they had him starting, obviously, when Steph Curry was out, and then they had him in the lineup anyway with Klay Thompson and Steph in the death lineup with Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins. And now in this series, and even at the tail end of last one, they realized that they needed to get bigger and have plugged in Kevon Looney, who's obviously been the X factor in these Western Conference Finals. So Jordan Poole kind of sputtered a little bit, struggled with his shot, but now he's taking the ball to the basket. He knows that when he's out there, Thompson or Steph is probably sitting, so he's got more freedom. And 16.5 points, he's been able to do that. He's getting into the rim. There's no rim protection from Dallas. I would expect him to get to at least 17 points tonight off the Warriors bench.
I like it. I like it quite a bit. I don't know. I mean, too lazy to put the beer down. I put the beer down and I get the bet in. I mean, doesn't require that much effort.
You got a few hours.
I don't, I sometimes even get up out of the chair to get another beer beverage. I will say this for my part of the best bet segment. These two teams can present the biggest scoring volatility of any matchup in the playoffs, other than when Memphis was playing Golden State. So if you like Memphis, for example, if you like Dallas tonight, you want to look for Golden State to rip off 10 points in a row. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, and that is going against your original bet. But in situations like the playoffs, I've seen this more than a dozen times already this year, where an underdog and the favorite runs off 10 in a row. And what happens? 10, 11, 12 points in a row, there's usually a timeout called so they can settle things down, make player changes, whatever. Commercials are run. And that's when you bet on the team that you like, which was the underdog. So if Golden State rips off 10, 12 in a row, you want to look at that live line and execute some pizza money bets on that number. And conversely, if you like the favorite, the same thing. Dallas scores 10, 11, 12 in a row with not an answer from Golden State. You want to take Golden State then. And it's just like trading like I used to do in the crude oil pits, except I didn't have to go like this stuff. I just sit there and go like this now. But they don't always work. I mean, a lot of times you go a couple of days without eating pizza because of it, but you rarely lose both. I mean, you just can't. But it does happen. Oh, I wanted to tell you too. In my PGA DraftKings, remember how I used to always say the goal is to get 6 guys through the cut?
Mm-hmm.
And that guarantees that you're going to cash. It doesn't. Yours truly I had 3 lineups get through with 6 guys. The one did not cash. So it is possible to be that stupid. Or actually, maybe it's that smart to identify 6 guys that can make it through the cut and not cash.
That is the goal.
And John Daly was in the lead, by the way, in the early part of the first round there. I think he was tied for second after his first 9 holes.
You had Daly in your 6?
No.
Oh, that was about to say.
To be honest, I didn't know he was playing.
Tony was celebrating that.
Well, what happened with that group of 6 was 2 of the guys made the cut on the cut number. And they proceeded to play poorly over the weekend. And then a third guy made the cut by 1 shot. He didn't play well the rest of the weekend. And I had Zalatoris. That was my horse. So that was offsetting what they were doing. But then when Zalatoris he tied for first, so that was good, but it wasn't enough to offset what the other 3 guys had done in terms of damage of points. He was well over 100, and 2 of these guys had 30 points for 4 rounds. So that killed me. But I just wanted to mention that it is possible to be looking like you're going to cash something and then it doesn't happen. And I always thought it was statistically impossible. All right, so I'll shut up now. I guess we'll go to Rob Veno for his best bet, and I guess Jesse, you already gave yours out, right?
I did.
Yeah, Rob Veno is always going to be our anchor, I think.
I'll take it. I'll say this. A couple of things that were said ahead of me. Home team run lines. With a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers, it's almost impossible to bet them as a home favorite money line. But as a run line in 20 home games this year, and as a favorite in every one. As a run line, they've been 12-8 full game, 60% winners. So there's guys hate it because they don't get the ninth at bat. You're going 8 at bats against 9, but still sometimes teams are just that overpowering, that overwhelming. Sometimes starting pitching is that overpowering, that overwhelming where you can get to the full game. And I know we've talked about it ad nauseum here the last couple of years about wanting to avoid bullpens and shortening things up to 5-inning line, because bullpens tend to throw your run line bets in the garbage as well. But the Dodgers are a good example of a team that is winning that way. I'll give you one, John, from baseball that I'm pretty sure is going to get there. Colorado, Washington up and over 8.5 runs tonight. Colorado just destroying left-handed pitching. Right now they get Pat Corbin in this game. Rockies 306 batting average against left-handed pitching. And Washington has already raked German Marquez over the coals once already this year. So you got 2 starting pitchers that aren't likely to have any success against the starting lineups here. And then when the bullpens enter the game, it's probably like pouring gasoline on the fire. 2 of the worst whips as far as bullpens are concerned in the major leagues. There, I think Colorado is third worst. Washington is 5th worst. Inherited runners scored. They both give up somewhere between 35 and 40% of their inherited runners. So the bullpens aren't really going to help out much here. Washington's a hitter-friendly park, and as the weather gets a little bit better here, maybe we'll see some more runs scored. But I think 8.5 up and over in that game between Colorado and Washington, considering the pitching matchups here and the individual situational stuff, like I said, with Colorado against lefties, should be pretty good. If I switch to the NBA real quick here, I do have a 4% best bet that's a player prop, so I will not give that one here. But Tony talked about Jordan Poole. I'm going to talk about Steph Curry getting over his number tonight, 27.5 points. Only 20 in the last game. Seemed a little bit disinterested. Has gotten over 27.5 twice in this series already. And it just seems like the spot for him to start making some shots. Golden State hasn't necessarily killed it from 3-point range in this series whatsoever. Game 2, they shot 50%. But other than that, they've been mid-30s. Not like Dallas, which has shot it really, really well in a couple of instances. But I think Curry, in this particular situation, picks it up here, gets himself to at least 28. So for show purposes, I'll say Steph Curry as over 27.5 points scored is a best bet. In the Colorado Rockies Washington Nationals game, up and over 8.5 runs is a best bet.
That is really good stuff. You do the best breakdowns on the planet. All you do.
Don't say that to Ross Benjamin.
Oh, it's true. That brings back a memory. That is true. But you all do good breakdowns. I mean, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing professionally if you didn't. I have a question for you, Rob, though. The Dodgers played in Washington this past weekend, I believe.
Yeah.
And already the rumors are circulating that Soto is going to be traded. I also hear that ownership is going to sell the team. I also hear general manager and manager are gone no matter what. You think they would actually get rid of a 23-year-old superstar named Soto? And what would they – I mean, who would have it to pay other than the Dodgers?
Miami.
It's a great question, John. But, I mean, the problem they'll run into is affordability and what they can get back in place of him, since the franchise is really – close to rebuild mode right now. You probably need more pieces than just Juan Soto. So that's the reason why. It's hard to even fathom giving up a kid whose best years offensively are probably ahead of him still. Why would you want to give that up? And what a draw he would be in Washington. But can you break the bank for one guy and continue to lose and come in last in the NL East? That'll be the question. We'll see what they decide on doing. I bit my tongue on all the Philadelphia Homer stuff that was going around here. But we all know who came on every single day and defended Ben Simmons to no end. But I'll say this to you, John. Forget about the Ben Simmons stuff. That Joel Embiid Twitter account was pretty interesting today when he said Miami needs another star. And I don't think Joel's leaving Philadelphia anytime soon, but it does seem like he wants to play with his buddy Jimmy Butler in South Florida. So God forbid that ever happened in this town where Joel Embiid left because he's so beloved by Sixers Nation, by Philadelphia in general. I don't know that there would be enough paramedics in the city to cure what would happen at that point. But I just thought it was interesting when Joel threw it out there. Miami needs another star. We'll see what happens.
Well, I
Could
can
you
tell you a little
imagine
something.
losing Joel Embiid and not having reached even a conference finals?
Yeah, the process would have been just 4 years of wasted time.
I'll tell you what. I can tell you a little something about losing a superstar to Miami.
Oh, I bet you can.
Talk about paramedics in the city going crazy, but
Yeah.
we're over that now, I think.
Well, maybe Embiid will go to Miami for 2 years and go back to Philly for 2 more years.
Right. Take his talents to South Beach.
You can get Braun back if you draft Bronny.
Yeah.
40-year-old Braun. Or
There's the one crazy thing about that, about the whole sports conspiracy thing. But when the Cavs had Dwayne Wade and they traded him back to Miami, they got a first-round pick for him in the year that Bronny's supposed to come out.
It'll be funny.
So, it was 6 years, 7 years down the line or whatever it was at the time, but they actually got a first round for him. And could you imagine using the pick that we got, trading away D Wade for Brown's kid to get him back?
Wow. Well, speaking of Ben
he's
Simmons,
still got work to do.
Oh,
I think the Nets are, if they can keep what they have, those 2 number 1 picks that Philly gave up.
Yeah.
I mean, Philly gave up their future. So maybe it makes sense that Embiid is saying, hey, if you need another superstar, I'm available.
Yeah, the Philadelphia situation is going to be interesting, John, because Harden obviously is opting in for the $47 million this year. Then Philadelphia will have their choice to make the year after. But, I think you could argue Tyrese Maxey's the second best player on the team right now, not James Harden. And, Tobias Harris was kind of the forgotten guy. The summer's going to be interesting here. They don't have the draft pick, as you mentioned. And despite the fact that their G League team got to the conference championship or the league championship, we've seen those guys on the floor, right? Charles Bassey, Paul Reed, and so forth. So I think Philadelphia's got to take the free agent approach and go build their bench. I think if they could build a bench, which is something they don't have right now, and then, I don't know, the wishful thinkers in Philadelphia would love to have Jimmy Butler just come back here rather than have Joel go down there. And
that was
never
a mistake
happened
when they had him, and then they didn't try to really be aggressive and re-sign him. I mean, you could tell the guy was a beast.
What about Doc Rivers to LA?
Yeah, Doc was pretty defensive at the end here.
He wants to live in LA, that's for sure. If I'm Doc, I'm walking into Daryl Morey's office saying, hey, if you're not going to guarantee that I'm going to be here for a while, let me go now. But 2 quick things just to make us feel old regarding basketball. I mean, it's been in the news, but the number 1 recruit for 2023 is DeJuan Wagner Jr. And you might have seen in the news his grandfather now, Milt Wagner, is probably going to be the top assistant at Louisville, which gives them the top road to landing him. And then 2 of the other top prospects coming up are Carlos Boozer's twins, Caden and I think Cameron. So yeah, we're ancient now.
Wow.
When I saw that Milt Wagner grandfather thing, Tone, I did see that on a scroll somewhere last night, probably ESPN. That did make Milt Wagner is longer ago than I had thought originally. I'm like, holy cow. Those were some very good Louisville teams.
Never saw him play, Jesse. I'm not that old, but my dad told me about him.
I am not familiar with Milt Wagner, but I'm certainly familiar with Carlos Boozer.
Well, you remember DeJuan Wagner, I mean, because he was a huge deal, and then he kind of flamed out. He got injured. But yeah, his kid is DeJuan Wagner Jr., and he's like the number 1 ranked prospect of the 2023 class. It's basically Kentucky and Louisville are going to have arm wrestling contest for him, and the fact that Milt Wagner just is going to Louisville gives them the heads up to grab him. But Dewan played
That's
at
how
Memphis.
you do it. That's how you
Boston,
do it. You hire the dad as an assistant.
That's how
Boston
Cade
might
Cunningham
turn
ended
into
up
the
at Oklahoma State.
Boston might turn into the place to go for free agents, because I looked at their roster, and based on my analysis, they don't have any free agents this coming summer. That team is rock solid for the next 2 years.
Philadelphia.
Now, of course, you can opt out or whatever, but that team's going to still be together, and then they get a draft pick no matter what. Even if they win the thing, they draft last. That player's going to be good. You get drafted last in the first round doesn't mean you're a 5'5" guy.
Yeah, I mean, they got to do re-signings, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that nucleus is, I think, intact for a while. Tatum, Brown, Robert Williams, and Smart.
Yeah. Yep, all of them. For at least the next 2 years, they don't have to worry about negotiating anything. And that's kind of scary.
Yep.
Especially for the Sixers. I mean, you got the Nets with 2 number ones that were your number ones. And, of course, we all know that Ben Simmons will be the difference maker next season. I can promise you that.
And Celtics look pretty mediocre for the first, 25, 30 games, Rob?
And
And then
did.
1 game under 500, November 15th, I think it was.
a game
And guys,
away from
all
the
the talk at that time, guys, was Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can't coexist.
Yep.
And, I guess that was just media talk, because they seem to coexist pretty well.
Yep.
Lastly, I'll let you guys go. What I really appreciated, first of all, what I really hated was this stuff after they miss a shot and they go like this, like, where's the foul call? And it was like every play in every game. And it was driving me nuts. And apparently the Boston head coach really read the riot act to his team and said, you got to knock that off. And if you think about it, from game 4, the only time I saw that was Jason Tatum's first missed shot, and he went like this. And that was the only time I saw it. And other teams are now doing it, and of course Scott Foster is a referee tonight in this game. So I guess they're trying to extend that series from what I hear, but I don't know who that benefits, and we don't even have to talk about that. But the flow of the games are so much more entertaining now, instead of missed shots and then yelling at the ref. We were taught by our fathers and our parents to respect the umpire even if he was wrong, right?
Yeah, and I'll say this: Luka has gotten better temperament-wise, but Luka got caught doing that a couple of times the other night, throwing his hands up in the air and not getting back on defense and giving up an easy 2. So I get it. A lot of times, these guys are getting hacked or hit or something going to the rim, and they're looking for it. But if you don't get it, you got to turn around and get back, because it just costs you points on the other end.
Yeah, because it's a
more often
5-on-4
than
that.
not.
And how many times?
Nobody in the NBA, according to themselves, John, has committed a foul. Believe me, nobody.
Well, I guess it's like those prisoners that are in jail in the Shawshank. Everybody's innocent.
I guess.
Yeah.
Game 2, Draymond can't show up tonight because Scott Foster will run him.
Yeah, Tony, do you know on the NBA tip-off, Ski said that he saw something where in games officiated by Scott Foster this year, Luka is undefeated. The Mavericks are undefeated. Really? I hadn't seen that, but he said it on the show, so just wondering if somebody else knew.
One thing I've noticed about playoff Scott Foster is that he's basically doing the we're going to let them play thing. So that's good for the under if you like the under, except for potentially tonight. You know how you swing those games. You call those 2 early fouls. No Otto Porter Jr. for the Warriors, so could be plan B if Draymond gets in those early foul trouble.
Yeah, the entire crew tonight trends under. Even if you go back a ways. I mean, I only did it through the playoffs, but with on the show with Jay Money and Ronald today, I think Ronald had the numbers for all 3 going back. They're all recently under officials. So we'll see if they do let them play. If they let them play, who knows who it benefits. I saw the other night where Jordan Poole had to be taken out of the game because he just physically wasn't strong enough to handle Jalen Brunson. And Steve Kerr had to bench him, and he's not one to call out his players individually, maybe like some other NBA coaches would. But you heard that huddle. If you were watching it, you heard Steve Kerr in the huddle kind of allude to, we got to be tougher. And
Yeah.
it was directed at one guy. It was directed at Jordan Poole.
Yep. And the number's down to 215 pretty much across the board. It was 215 and a half. So money came in on the over, but books are trending under. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out, because the one thing is, even the whole let them play thing doesn't fly if, a team hits 23s, and these are two perimeter based teams. So from that standpoint, if you're banking on the refs to get you the under, that's the wrong way to go. You basically need poor shooting.
You need the John Ryan angle of the day.
You need what?
The angle of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you need. 12
and the music
3,
behind
6-0.
Once that station wagon music came on, I was all in.
Just always remember one thing, though. Number 1 seeds that are a home dog of 3 or more points have never won and never covered. And that happened again last night. And that is all I have to say. So I guess we'll put a bow on this thing and call it a show. It is fun to have this back together again. I just hope that we don't have to send the bail money to get Finn out again, and that's the reason why he's not here on the show. But if it is, we'll do what we have to do, right, Rob? Right, Tony? It is.
What we have to do.
All pull the money together, and we stand by him.
He seemed a little agitated because on the show he called the Warriors' death lineup the suicide lineup, and the three of us idiots start laughing at him, and from there on, he was not happy with any. He even asked, "What is so funny about me?" And next thing I know, he's not appearing here. So I don't know. Maybe Tony was angry.
Maybe he was just doing some Goodfellas shtick. That what am I, a fucking clown? I am.
Right. That's right. Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
I'm here to amuse you.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a Goodfellas tribute after Ray Liotta passed today.
Yeah, that's what a shame.
Yeah, it is.
Good actor. Very good actor.
Yep. Well, anyway, fellas, good luck to every single one of you. And make sure, if you're listening to this, get over to Wagertalk and SportsMemo.com. They're two of the best panels of handicappers and professional, honest people that I know on the planet. And you'll do well for yourself picking any of them. And that's about it, guys. So we're going to be back tomorrow with another edition of the show. And then I think we're going to try to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if that works to all of our schedules. We'll rotate casts in and out, and it should roll pretty good, I think. So until then, best of luck to you guys. And remember the 2 things I always say: bet with your head and never over it. And thanks to Joe Ranieri for giving me this phrase: may all the wins be yours.